Welcome to today's video. We've all experienced anger, frustration, or resentment at some point in our lives. These emotions can feel like a heavy burden, and when left unchecked, they can be incredibly destructive, not only to the person harboring them but to everyone in their path. But what if the anger isn't obvious? What if it's hidden beneath a smile, masked by politeness, or even cloaked in what seems like kindness? How do we know when there's something more lurking beneath the surface? Especially in our closest relationships, it's easy to assume that when someone acts friendly or caring, they are indeed feeling positive emotions towards us. But what happens when those actions don't align with the emotions we sense beneath the surface? The truth is, hidden resentment can often be even more dangerous than open hostility because it's subtle, and we might not recognize it until it's too late. It might show up in the form of passive-aggressive comments, backhanded compliments, or even acts of kindness that feel strangely hollow or self-serving. Today, we're going to explore this phenomenon through the lens of Buddhist philosophy and Zen teachings. In Buddhism, emotions like anger and hatred are seen as sources of suffering, not only for the person experiencing them but for everyone around them. But the wisdom found in these teachings doesn't just tell us to avoid anger. It helps us understand how to recognize it in ourselves and others, especially when it's hidden. Many of us have experienced moments when we feel betrayed or hurt, but the outward actions of those involved seem perfectly normal or even kind. So how do we discern what's truly going on beneath that mask? How do we detect the subtle signs of hidden resentment or ill intentions? In this video, we will delve deep into these questions, uncovering how Buddhist wisdom can guide us in recognizing these emotions and, most importantly, how to deal with them in a way that preserves our peace and wisdom. The concept of hidden hatred in Buddhist philosophy. In Buddhism, emotions like anger and hatred are considered not only harmful to the individual but also to the wider community, as they contribute to the cycle of suffering, dukkha. The Buddhist teachings emphasize that the root of suffering lies in attachment, craving, and aversion. Among these, hatred is seen as one of the most destructive forces that distorts our inner peace and prevents us from experiencing true compassion. While emotions such as love, kindness, and compassion are seen as inherent qualities of the human mind, these virtues can be overshadowed by negative emotions, with hatred being a prime example. Hatred, according to Buddhist teachings, doesn't always manifest in obvious or violent forms. It doesn't necessarily take the shape of open hostility or shouting. In fact, it is often far more insidious. Hatred can be hidden beneath a facade of politeness or even kindness. For example, someone might smile, speak kindly, or offer help, all the while harboring deep resentment or ill will toward the person they're interacting with. This superficial display of generosity or care can be a form of control or manipulation, where the act of giving is not genuinely motivated by compassion, but by a desire to maintain dominance or hold on to power. This is particularly important when considering how we interact with those around us. In Buddhist philosophy, we are encouraged to look deeper than surface-level actions and words. The Buddha taught that it is not just the action itself, but the intention behind the action that matters. A smile may not always indicate friendliness, and a kind gesture may be a way of asserting control. This insight invites us to question the motives behind both our own and others' behaviors. Zen teachings, in particular, urge us to look beyond the obvious and cultivate a sense of mindfulness that includes not just what is said, but also what is left unsaid. Zen masters often remind us to read between the lines, to observe subtle body language, and to pay attention to the tone and energy of a person's words. Hidden hatred can often be detected through passive-aggressive behavior, those indirect, subtle actions that communicate displeasure or disdain without ever confronting the issue directly. For instance, someone might offer a compliment that feels more like a jab, or offer help in a way that feels patronizing rather than genuinely supportive. To truly understand the emotions of others, we must become aware of the layers beneath their outward actions. Buddhist teachings encourage us to practice right mindfulness and right understanding in our daily interactions. This means being fully present and aware of not just the external words and actions, but also the internal state of mind behind them. When we listen with full attention and observe with awareness, we can begin to notice the subtleties, those micro-expressions, the small gestures, and the undercurrents of emotion that reveal hidden feelings like resentment, anger, or even hatred. By cultivating this awareness, we not only learn to see hidden hatred in others, but also become better at recognizing it within ourselves. Buddhism teaches that all beings have the potential for both positive and negative emotions. Recognizing when hidden hatred is present, whether in ourselves or others, allows us to confront it and cultivate compassion in its place. Story of a disciple and his teacher. Let me share a story to illustrate this point. There was once a young disciple who had just joined a Zen monastery, eager to learn and practice under the guidance of his teacher. Despite the serene and disciplined environment, he began to feel uneasy about the behavior of his fellow monks. They appeared to be kind and polite on the surface, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. They would greet him with warm smiles, offer words of encouragement, and speak highly of him to others. Yet he felt an undercurrent of tension whenever they interacted. Confused and troubled by this, the disciple decided to approach his Zen master for advice. "Master," he began hesitantly, "I don't understand. The other monks seem so kind on the outside. They always smile at me, praise me, and offer help, but deep inside, I feel like they don't like me. There's something in their eyes, a coldness behind their words, and it's making me uneasy. I don't know what to make of it. What am I missing?" The Zen master, known for his calm presence and penetrating wisdom, looked at the young monk for a long moment before answering. He smiled gently, as though understanding the depth of his student's confusion. "You must learn to look beyond words and gestures," the master said in a soft but firm voice. "People often hide their true feelings behind kindness, politeness, and even generosity. Their words may be sweet, but their actions may tell a different story. To truly understand someone, you must observe what is unspoken, what lies beneath the surface. Only then will you see the truth." The disciple was still puzzled, but he trusted his teacher's wisdom and decided to follow the advice. Over the next few weeks, he became more mindful of the interactions around him. He began observing the monks more closely, paying attention not only to their words, but also to their actions, their body language, and the overall energy they gave off. Gradually, the disciple began to notice subtle inconsistencies. Some monks who had showered him with compliments and praise were also the ones who, behind closed doors, spoke ill of him. They would gossip about his actions or make cutting remarks about his meditation practices. Others, who appeared to be his friends on the surface, would exclude him from conversations or give him patronizing looks when he spoke. One monk, in particular, caught the disciple's attention. This monk would often offer him small gifts or go out of his way to make him feel welcomed. Yet, whenever they were alone, the monk would make subtle remarks that undermined the disciple's confidence, such as questioning his ability to meditate or commenting on his posture in a critical, passive-aggressive way. These remarks were often disguised as advice, but the tone was laced with something darker, a hidden contempt that the disciple had not been able to identify until now. It was at that moment that the disciple understood the wisdom his master had shared. The monk's outwardly kind gestures were often motivated by something much less pure: resentment, jealousy, or a desire to control. Their actions, although coated with the veneer of politeness, were often laced with subtle critiques, designed to keep him in a state of insecurity or to maintain their own sense of superiority. The disciple, now aware of these subtle signs, felt both enlightened and disheartened. He had learned to recognize the hidden emotions behind the surface kindness, but he also felt the weight of these unspoken dynamics in the monastery. With this new insight, he sought out his master again. "Master," the disciple said, "I've seen what you meant. I can now recognize the hidden resentments in the actions of others, but it makes me feel isolated and uncertain. What should I do with this knowledge?" The Zen master looked at him with compassion. "Awareness alone is not enough. What matters now is how you choose to respond. Recognizing the hidden hatred in others is a step toward understanding, but true wisdom lies in not being affected by it. Cultivate your own compassion and understanding. Even when faced with negativity, do not let others' hidden emotions disturb your inner peace. Instead, offer them kindness without expectation, and let your actions be guided by pure intention. The disciple left his teacher's presence with a new sense of clarity. He understood that recognizing hidden emotions in others was just one part of the practice. The real challenge was to maintain a heart of compassion and non-reactivity, no matter what emotions others might conceal. The power of compliments. Spotting hidden hatred. A useful tool for identifying hidden resentment is through the power of compliments. Have you ever been in a situation where someone praised you excessively, but you could feel a sting or unease in their words? You might have experienced a moment when the words sounded sweet, but something about the tone felt off. Perhaps it was overly exaggerated or delivered with a certain sharpness, as though the person were begrudgingly acknowledging your success. This discomfort is a sign that there may be something beneath the surface, something hidden, such as resentment or jealousy. Compliments, when used thoughtfully, can act as a window into a person's true feelings. In Buddhist philosophy, we are taught to be aware of the energy behind words, not just the words themselves. A genuine compliment is rooted in compassion and goodwill. It carries warmth and sincerity, expressing appreciation in a way that uplifts both the giver and the receiver. When someone offers a compliment with true kindness, it feels natural, grounded, and free from ulterior motives. The words are not just an acknowledgement of something external. They convey a sense of joy and connection. However, when compliments are delivered with a cold or forced tone, they can signal a different emotion. These kinds of praise are often cloaked in layers of insincerity. It's as if the words are meant to be a cover-up for something else, perhaps competition, jealousy, or even contempt. These types of compliments may feel transactional, like they come with hidden strings attached. For example, someone might say, "You did such a great job on that project. Too bad you're always so lucky." The praise feels shallow, and the implication that luck, rather than skill or effort, contributed to your success makes the compliment seem backhanded. In Buddhism, we recognize that these feelings of jealousy or competition arise from attachment and ego. When someone feels threatened by another's success, they may express false praise to maintain a sense of superiority or control. It is as if they are trying to hide their resentment by pretending to celebrate your achievements, all while secretly diminishing your worth in their mind. This is why it's so important to be attuned not only to what is being said, but also to how it is being said. In these situations, it's not just the words that matter, but the emotional undertone behind them. Is the person speaking from a place of genuine goodwill? Or is there a subtle edge to their words that hints at something darker? We need to cultivate mindfulness and sensitivity to these nuances, both in our interactions with others and in our own emotional responses. When faced with compliments that feel insincere or laden with hidden meaning, it's essential not to let them disturb your inner peace. Recognize that these feelings, whether in others or in yourself, are a result of attachment, fear, or ego. In Buddhist teachings, we are encouraged to observe such moments with detachment, understanding that these emotions do not define us. By practicing non-reactivity, we can prevent these hidden resentments from affecting our emotional well-being. At the same time, we must continue to cultivate an attitude of genuine appreciation. Instead of allowing the negative energy in someone else's compliment to disturb us, we can choose to respond with kindness, without getting caught up in the underlying negativity. This approach not only diffuses the hidden hatred, but also transforms the interaction into an opportunity for growth and understanding. In essence, compliments are not just a reflection of how others see us. They are also a reflection of how we perceive ourselves. When we approach them with mindfulness and awareness, we can better navigate the complex emotional dynamics that often lie beneath the surface. By observing both the words and the energy behind them, we gain insight into the deeper feelings that shape our relationships. Asking for help, observing reactions. Another effective way to uncover hidden resentment is by asking for help. People often reveal their true feelings in the way they respond to requests, and this can offer valuable insight into their emotional state. In Buddhist teachings, The act of giving is seen as a pure expression of compassion. It is not only a material exchange, but an opportunity to cultivate selflessness and generosity. However, when someone agrees to help reluctantly or begrudgingly, it may indicate that their outward kindness is masking something deeper, perhaps hidden hostility, resentment, or even anger. Imagine asking a friend, colleague, or family member for a favor. They may respond with a polite, "Of course, I'll help," but their body language, tone of voice, or the timing of their response may tell a different story. If their words are polite, but their actions seem slow or filled with irritation, or if they seem distracted and unwilling during the process, this could be a clear sign of suppressed negativity. Even if the person's outward response is seemingly kind, the energy behind it can reveal a different truth. In Buddhism, we are encouraged to observe not only the action itself, but also the energy and attitude that accompany it. A true act of kindness should come from a place of inner peace and joy. When someone offers help with a sense of ease, it reflects their genuine willingness to support and their lack of attachment to the outcome. Their willingness is a reflection of their compassionate nature. However, when this energy is absent, when the help is offered grudgingly, or with an undercurrent of frustration, it can indicate that something is being withheld emotionally. The act of giving should be effortless and free from resistance. In Zen practice, one of the key teachings is the concept of Wu Wei, or effortless action. It's the idea that the most effective and genuine actions arise without force or hesitation. When we give or help, there should be a sense of ease, as though it flows naturally from a place of abundance, not from a place of obligation. This is why it is so important to pay attention to how someone reacts when asked for help. If their response feels heavy, reluctant, or filled with frustration, this is often an indication of unexpressed negative feelings. This phenomenon can be especially apparent in close relationships, where expectations and emotions are more complex. A person who feels resentment may not overtly express it, but their unwillingness to help or their negative energy during the process can reveal the truth. This is often the case when there is a history of unspoken tension or unresolved conflict. The person may not be comfortable expressing their feelings directly, so they hide them behind seemingly polite but emotionally detached actions. Buddhism teaches us the importance of mindfulness in our interactions, encouraging us to observe the subtle nuances of behavior. When we ask for help and receive a response that feels off, it is important to pause and reflect. Instead of brushing off the discomfort, we can take it as an opportunity to examine the relationship more closely. Why does the person seem reluctant to help? Are there unresolved issues between you? Are they holding on to past grievances or feelings of resentment? It's crucial, however, to avoid making assumptions. People can have different reasons for being reluctant to help: fatigue, stress, or personal issues. Therefore, we should practice empathy and try to understand the context behind their response. But in doing so, we must also remain aware of any patterns of negative energy that might emerge over time. If this behavior persists, it may be a sign that the relationship is being affected by deeper emotions, and it may require more open communication and resolution. By observing how others react to our requests for help, we gain valuable insight into their emotional landscape. Hidden resentment may not always be directly expressed, but it can often be detected in the way people respond to our needs. Practicing mindfulness, both in the act of giving and receiving, allows us to better understand and address the underlying dynamics at play in our relationships. Reflecting on the lesson, applying the teachings. The lesson here is clear. We cannot rely solely on external appearances or surface-level actions to gauge the feelings of others. In our modern world, where social interactions are often coated with politeness, it's easy to assume that everything is fine based on what people say or how they behave outwardly. However, Buddhist teachings remind us that true understanding arises from a deeper level of awareness, one that goes beyond the visible and into the unseen. This is why mindfulness is so crucial in navigating our relationships. We must observe not just what is being said, but also what remains unsaid, and more importantly, how something is being conveyed, whether it is done with sincerity or veiled with hidden intentions. Buddhism teaches us the importance of developing a clear, calm awareness of both our own emotions and the emotions of others. When we become mindful of our own reactions and the subtle cues of those around us, we create the space for wisdom to arise. Rather than being caught up in the emotional turbulence of a situation, we can respond thoughtfully and with clarity. This allows us to protect our emotional well-being while navigating even the most complex and challenging relationships. It's important to recognize that noticing hidden resentment in others is not about becoming suspicious or judgmental. In Buddhism, judgment stems from attachment and the desire to control or manipulate outcomes. Rather, the goal is to cultivate a wise, compassionate awareness that allows us to respond with clarity and equanimity. When we identify subtle signs of resentment, whether it's a passive-aggressive comment, an insincere compliment, or a reluctant offer of help, we do so with the intention of understanding, not condemning. This awareness enables us to make informed decisions about how to interact with others and how to protect our peace of mind. In personal relationships, whether at work, within our families, or among friends, we can all benefit from being mindful of these subtle emotional cues. Relationships are complex, and emotions are often layered. Someone might not express their frustration or anger outright, but their actions or their energy can reveal a different story. By becoming attuned to these undercurrents, we gain insight into the emotional dynamics that are at play, which allows us to respond more wisely. For example, if we notice a friend's hesitation when offering help or sense coldness behind their words of praise, it might be an invitation to gently explore what's beneath the surface. We might ask them if something is bothering them or if there is something unsaid between us. Rather than letting resentment fester or remain hidden, we create space for honest dialogue and deeper connection. There are also times when the wisest choice is to disengage or create healthy boundaries. When hidden resentment continues to manifest in subtle but consistent ways, and when efforts to address it are met with resistance, it may be necessary to distance ourselves emotionally. This doesn't mean cutting ties completely or holding on to bitterness. Instead, it means protecting ourselves from the harmful effects of unresolved negativity. Buddhism teaches that we must preserve our inner peace and balance, and this sometimes requires us to step away from relationships or situations that drain our energy. Choosing to disengage can be a powerful act of self-care, as it allows us to maintain our equanimity and not become entangled in the emotional dramas of others. When we choose to disengage, it is an act of loving kindness towards ourselves, allowing us to protect our emotional health and move forward with clarity. We can still wish the other person well, but we don't have to carry their negative energy with us. In our journey of personal growth and spiritual practice, we can reflect on these teachings and apply them in ways that are true to our values. The key is to remain observant, compassionate, and wise in all our interactions. By recognizing hidden resentment in ourselves and others, we can create space for healing, understanding, and peace. We learn to navigate the complexities of human emotions with greater awareness. And in doing so, we protect not only our hearts but also our minds, creating a harmonious and balanced life. Ultimately, applying the teachings of mindfulness and Buddhist wisdom is not about avoiding conflict or denying negative emotions, but about learning to navigate them with awareness and grace. This enables us to respond to the world around us with compassion, clarity, and wisdom, ensuring that we maintain our inner peace and cultivate meaningful, healthy relationships. How to handle hidden hatred. Practical solutions. When we detect hidden hatred in others, it can be tempting to react with frustration or defensiveness. However, Buddhist teachings remind us to respond with compassion, patience, and wisdom. Recognizing that those who harbor negative emotions are often suffering themselves is the first step toward addressing the situation constructively. In many cases, their hidden resentment is not truly about us, but rather a reflection of their own pain, insecurities, or unresolved internal struggles. 1. Stay grounded in compassion. Compassion is at the heart of the Buddhist response to negativity. When someone harbors hidden hatred, their actions are often driven by inner turmoil. Instead of taking their behavior personally, try to view it as a symptom of their own suffering. This shift in perspective can help you respond with kindness rather than anger. For example, if someone makes a backhanded compliment or reluctantly helps you, consider that they may be grappling with feelings of inadequacy or jealousy. By maintaining a compassionate attitude, you create the space for understanding and healing. 2. Set boundaries. While compassion is essential, it doesn't mean tolerating behavior that harms your emotional well-being. Setting boundaries is a crucial step in protecting yourself from the impact of hidden hatred. These boundaries don't have to be confrontational. They can be as simple as limiting your interactions with someone who consistently displays negative energy. By establishing clear limits, you safeguard your inner peace while also signaling that you won't engage in toxic dynamics. 3. Engage in mindful communication. When addressing hidden hatred, communication is key. Approach the conversation with calmness and a genuine desire to understand their feelings. Mindful communication means listening actively and responding thoughtfully, without becoming defensive or reactive. For instance, you might say, "I've noticed some tension between us. Is there something on your mind that you'd like to share?" This kind of open-ended, non-confrontational inquiry can encourage honesty and provide an opportunity to address the underlying issues. 4. Practice forgiveness. Forgiveness is not about excusing harmful behavior, but about freeing yourself from the burden of resentment. Holding on to anger or frustration towards someone who harbors hidden hatred only perpetuates suffering for both you and them. Forgiveness allows you to release the emotional weight of the situation and move forward with clarity and peace. It's a gift you give yourself as much as it is a gesture of kindness toward the other person. 5. Focus on your inner peace. Ultimately, the way others feel about you is beyond your control. What you can control is your own response. By practicing mindfulness and staying anchored in the present moment, you ensure that their negativity does not disturb your inner peace. Meditative practices such as deep breathing, loving kindness meditation, metta, or reflecting on impermanence can help you maintain balance and equanimity in the face of hidden hatred. By applying these practical solutions rooted in Buddhist principles, we protect ourselves from the harmful effects of hidden negativity while fostering an environment where understanding and healing can occur. Even if the other person does not change, we can remain at peace, knowing that we have approached the situation with integrity, compassion, and wisdom. In conclusion, recognizing hidden hatred in others is an art that requires mindfulness, awareness, and a compassionate heart. Life's most profound truths often lie in the subtle spaces, the flicker of an expression during a compliment, the hesitation in a response to a request for help, or the quiet tension that lingers in unspoken words. By tuning into these subtle cues, we can navigate our relationships with greater wisdom and create space for understanding and growth. But as the Buddha wisely taught, the journey does not stop at understanding others. It begins with understanding ourselves. Each time we recognize hidden negativity in others, it serves as a mirror reflecting our own emotions, fears, and insecurities. This awareness is an opportunity for self-reflection and personal growth, guiding us closer to inner peace and emotional clarity. I invite you to take these lessons into your own life. Reflect on your relationships, both past and present, and consider where hidden feelings may have influenced your connections. Through mindfulness and compassion, you can transform these insights into more harmonious, genuine interactions. You hold the power to cultivate a life rooted in authenticity and understanding. Thank you for spending your time here today. If you found value in this discussion, I encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's continue this journey together. May peace, clarity, and compassion guide you in all your interactions. Until next time, be well and take care.